Welcome back to NC Realtors Redefined, the NC Realtors podcast. On this episode,
when you sit in front of someone and you just say the words, this is what's bothering me, this is my issue, just saying the words out loud takes away the power.
But first, do you have feedback on a story or topic that you'd like to hear covered on this podcast? Then give us a call at 336-550-4437. When leaving your voicemail, be sure to tell us your name and where you're from. Your comments may be used on a future episode of NC Realtors Redefined.
I want to ask Steve this question in terms of the group, the feedback. You've all mentioned that you had, especially your meeting, you had staff there, which is awesome. And, you know, some people come in intending to listen. I think that is the intent of many people that come the first time, just kind of observe, you know, just kind of feel it out. And then when you feel the energy and you feel the support, there's something about it that you can't be quiet. You do have to contribute to the room. So Steve, what's some feedback that you may have gotten, whether it's from staff, whether it is from a realtor or someone that has been in the room that particularly surprised you, or something that you felt particularly proud about that you heard that you did not know would have been an impact to someone in this group?
Well, that's interesting because it opens a whole sea of thoughts. You know, the reality for me is that we've had some individual success stories, but the overriding theme that I try to put out there now, I have two passions now: spreading raw and communicating to our members that it's okay. And we talked about this earlier. That thought, that premise emanates from the fact that people are in denial about any issues. Forget what those issues are. We all have them. You know, I don't care, some more severe than others. And when I'm out speaking about raw, I say this all the time, you know, because people say, well, tell me about raw. Who goes to raw? And I said, well, anybody that wants to go can come. If you overeat, you're a candidate for raw. If you're stressed out, if you have anxiety, you're a candidate for raw. If you're perfect in every conceivable way, you are definitely a candidate for raw because you're delusional. And here's the thing. Most people will never want to admit that they have any issues whatsoever. And so when I'm out speaking, and I do this a lot, I speak a lot at marketing meetings, networking groups, and more people want Adam and I to speak to their groups about raw because, like I said, it's bigger than all of us. But I'll tell people, you know, I know there's some of you out there that think, you know, you got it going on, but we're all human and every single one of us has issues. Now, if your issue happens to be, no one in my family listens to me. My kids don't listen. My wife, my spouse doesn't listen. Come to raw. We'll listen. You know, if you have a day where you just want to scream at the top of your lungs, I have a pillow at raw you can scream into. And that's true. I have a pillow at raw and you can scream into it. I had one instance where, and like Adam and I, we started talking about this 7 or 8 years ago at another meeting we met at. And we thought it was going to be, you know, alcohol, drug abuse, things like that, because we know it's prevalent. But there again, there's a lot of people in denial about that, so they won't come to those meetings. In the same way that issues at raw, which are all issues, there's people that haven't come to the point where they can admit to themselves that they need to talk to somebody. And the reality is that's all we see. We don't see any of the substance abuse. We see some, but very little, very little. We see the things that realtors and affiliates go through every day: stress, anxiety, you know. And I tell people that if you have an issue, I don't care what your issue is. As I've said many times, we all have them. You know, when you sit in front of someone and you just say the words, this is what's bothering me. This is my issue. Just saying the words out loud takes away the power that that issue has over you.
Mm.
And sometimes when you talk about these things we all do to get, to get through our day, the things we use in our own lives, I pray, I meditate. I've been doing that for 25 years and I'm really good at it because I've practiced it a lot. But there are days when I walk out in my backyard and scream.
Yeah.
And my neighbors, are you okay? Oh, yeah, I'm fine.
Right.
I'm just dealing with something. And there are times when I'll walk around the house and say, I am greater than these problems before me. I am. And I just have to hear it from my own mouth. And I tell people all the time, just come and sit. And if you don't want to talk, you don't have to. Just listen. But when you hear other people talk, you want to jump in because they speak to your heart.
Amen. So true. Was that a hand, Jenifer?
I do want to add, when you just said, Steve, that we don't see as much of the alcoholism or addiction folks sort of coming into raw meetings. I do want to say that I made a connection with someone last June at the DC meeting, and when I raised my hand and shared a little bit about my story and who I am, that I've been sober for 22 years and identify myself as a recovering alcoholic and that my life is amazing today, because I'm sober. That really opened up the floodgates for someone else who did not plan on speaking. They just planned on listening. And I could tell that this person who I already knew who she was, that she was really struggling. And I don't really recall whether she shared out loud in the meeting or not. I think she did actually. But I went to her afterward and had a one-on-one conversation, and we exchanged contact info. And that person has since cut down on their drinking like 90 to 95%. Their spouse had also been very actively abusing alcohol, and they have now gone completely dry, 100%. And so it was just really such an amazing thing to see that just by me being honest, literally just by me claiming my seat and saying, this is who I am, it gave this other person the courage to say, I think I have a problem with alcohol, and so does my husband. We need help. And although we're on different journeys, they're getting help in a different way than how I got sober. But it doesn't matter. I absolutely believe that there are multiple pathways to recovery, and it doesn't matter which pathway you want to walk. There's many ways to skin a cat, as they say. So it doesn't have to come the same way I got sober. But just knowing that I have helped somebody, who was clearly in need. They showed up. They get to take credit for the fact that they were there at that meeting, and that then they were willing to let that guard down. And so there is incredible power in just suiting up and showing up. You don't know what you're going to say, how that's going to affect someone else. So just bring your honest self and let the magic really just unfold in the room, and don't be afraid to have those one-on-one conversations, because that's truly where some people need a little bit more anonymity or a little bit more confidentiality to truly open up and blossom. And we ended up exchanging a lot of emails over the summertime, and we've stayed in touch, and I'm so proud of her for really embracing that change was possible. And she feels a million times better, sleeping better, losing weight, definitely handling the stresses of this job now that she's not drinking.
That's a great story. It sparks something. I want Adam to speak to it as well about the individual successes
Sure.
Sure,
Adam, please take that.
Well, no, I got one, and then I'm on Adam to do the second one.
Okay.
At my local, I'd never seen anyone in our raw group that had an alcohol-related issue. And I was shocked by that. But after almost 4 years of our local chapter, a gal came in that had issues such as alcoholic. And so what I was able to do is, because of my AA background, I connected her with a female sponsor. And she's now going through the steps with that sponsor. So to Jen's point, when those things happen, it's like, yes, God, we're here for the right reason. And the one I wanted Adam to speak to was our Bakersfield situation. Tell the viewers about that, Adam.
Sure. You know, you can't fix a problem unless you admit that there's a problem,
That's
right?
right.
And we're just spiritual beings having human experiences. So we're all going through whatever it is that we're going through. And again, the key concept that we keep coming back to is it's very difficult to try to go this alone. You don't have to be alone. There are groups out there, whether it's the Raw group, whether it's church, it could be your book club, you know, the girls book club, whatever it is that allows you to be able to share what's going on with you, with another person is the key to all of this. And for the benefit of confidentiality, I'll just kind of be very generic in the concept, but yeah, we have, I believe, 9 or possibly 10 associations in California now that offer their chapter, their Raw group. We have now chapters that have opened up all over the country. In fact, I think I can't even list them all. We have a staff person at Orange County Realtors who tracks all of the different associations throughout the country who have now launched with the Raw group. In fact, Calgary, Canada launches next month in November. So,
Awesome.
you know, this concept definitely is taking off, and we want to help anybody and everybody, and it's free. There is no financial interest in what we're doing. We're here to share what's working and to try to help members throughout this industry. But there was a situation where the facilitator of a meeting, who also had a vast experience in the recovery industry, had seen one of their fellow affiliates not looking so good at an event. And their suspicion was that there was a definite issue going on and that its affiliate was suffering and going very far down the hole, if you will. And 2 months later, this particular affiliate walks into the meeting. And of course, the facilitator said, this is beautiful. This is a situation where this person is, you know, going to come and maybe get some help and talk about what's going on. Well, as it turns out, the person did share. The person had stage 4 cancer and was dying. Had not told their family, had not told a single soul, except for the 4 people that were in that Raw meeting at that particular time. And one of the reasons why was a financial one. They didn't want to bring the financial burden onto the family. So their intention, as I understand it, was probably just to not get any care for their situation and to leave as little burden to their family as they could. But it was because of that point in time where they were able to walk into a room and share something that was very important to them, to the group, that the group could, of course, there were a lot of tears being shed and a lot of hugging going on, but you know, this helped that particular individual to now start to be able to go back and reach out and talk to their spouse and tell them what was going on and to speak to their children to let them know what was going on. But they needed that first step, that first place where they could let this out. They could share what was going on the inside with somebody else. And again, that's the essence of what these rooms are here for. So yeah, that's the story that I guess I'll share. But this is not unusual. This is happening in all of these groups, and our group, you know, we have stuff like this as well. But I'll just leave it at that. That's the kind of stuff that can be shared in one of these meetings.
For sure. You know, I'm going to segue to the next question, but you know, some people come to the conferences for referral partners, and somehow we ending up with a support network across the country. You know, I'll share, I was in California, way far from North Carolina, and I heard my name and I was wondering who it was. And it was someone I had met at the Raw group. And she said, "I'm so glad to see you here." We exchanged hugs and we asked how each other were doing. And it was unlike anything that I had ever felt before because yes, we had met at a real estate conference, but it was not real estate referral related. It was a real check-in. How are you doing? How are you feeling? And that was real. So thankful for that. Jenifer mentioned her story giving someone courage. And so I was going to ask you all this question. How do you think sharing your stories or anyone sharing stories within the group can help build a stronger community and even further help someone who's hesitant to seek any type of support? What are your thoughts on that? I'll ask Steve that question.
Well, well, like I said earlier, the techniques I use when I'm promoting is how I try to get across to our members that they're welcome. There's no need to feel anything negative about coming to a raw meeting. I think sometimes the connotation, because we're in the mental wellness area, is that if you go to a raw meeting, there's something wrong with you mentally, then people might think I'm crazy. And I tell people, I am crazy, but in a good way. I said, and all of you out here, you're all crazy in a good way. We're realtors and affiliates. We work in a crazy business. Come on. Who does this kind of work? Who makes a living like we do on purpose? Most people fall into this. And
Right.
it's a crazy life. And so, yeah, we're all a little crazy. That's why you need to come to a raw meeting because you're going to be able to listen and talk to people just like yourself,
Right.
other realtors, other affiliates. And that's how I try to let people know on a real basic level that you're included here. You're part of this group. We're all part of the same industry, and we just who better understands? And Adam said this twice already. Who better understands realtors better than realtors? Nobody. Nobody.
Awesome. Adam, did you want to
You
shed some light
know,
on that?
well, I think Steve and Jenifer have touched on this a bit, but I'll just say this, I spent a lot of time in this business developing a reputation of, the ultimate highest of ethics and in respect to my colleagues in this business. And of course, our level of production is pretty recognized in our market. And I think the fact that I'm willing to be open and present this concept, and like Steve, I'll speak at various functions. We actually just had one last week. It was our broker summit for our association. There were 40 invitees. We had Dr. Lawrence Yoon from NAR and Sherry from NAR. They were the guest speakers, and I was the third wheel. I got 3 or 4 minutes to speak in front of these esteemed brokers, and of course, my 3 or 4 minutes was to encourage those brokers with all of their realtor folks to consider the raw group if it's something that you think that some of your agents might benefit from. But the fact that I'm willing to stand up there at a podium in front of my peers and talk about this, I think just takes a little bit of the power and mystique away from that stigma, if you will, that we've been talking about today. If I can talk about this thing openly and identify that, I'm a person that also believes in trying to get better and help others and also help myself because I need help. I just think that it helps other people to feel more comfortable with this.
Thank you so much for that. And Jenifer, I don't know if you had anything else to add, particularly on sharing stories and supporting those that might be hesitant to reach out for support.
Yeah, I think that it's important to not always frame the conversation when we're talking about our personal stories as being about mental health, right? It's just about sharing real life experiences. And I think that helps just normalize the conversation, that we go through some really difficult moments as realtors. And, the public loves to hate us, right? Like I'll just say it right now. You know, we are
To say
not
the least.
We are not America's sweethearts right now. That is for sure. But we do understand those of us who are in this business for the right reasons, that we are client centered. I personally, you know, run my business with the mantra of love and service. That I love what I do and I am here to serve other people and to serve my agents who work for me, as well as my community at large. You know, how can I make an impact? That's really important to me. So when I'm sharing stories about the highs and the lows, you know, that lets other people know that that's reality. You know, it's not all sunshine and roses. It doesn't matter what you might see on my Instagram or on my Facebook business page. You know, here's the tea, and I'm going to spill it with you. So it's really important for realtors to connect and network and understand that we are in a very unique, very high stress, high pressure, no safety net job. That, you know, you can make sky's the limit and the bottom
You
has
need to say that again
uneven.
for the people in the back, Jenifer. That's real.
For sure. I mean, when you think about some people, and Adam alluded to it before, I mean, you guys sell properties that are way more expensive than we even have existing here in Vermont, right? You know, our price points are very different. You know, my average sale price is about $250,000. So I have to do a volume business in order to be able to make ends meet here. I'm not slinging, you know, $1 million sales. So I'm out there hustling every day and looking for my next client. And also while juggling, you know, 3 or 4 or 12 deals going at the same time. So I'm a juggler, right? I've always got a lot of balls in the air. And that can be really very stressful. And so when I'm letting other agents in my marketplace or anywhere know that I'm in the trenches with you, you know, I'm not up here pie in the sky, Pollyanna, um, preaching, you know, that this is all easy peasy, because it's not. I'm right there with you guys in the trenches, and it's about taking down those walls. You know, we've had a slower market recently, and so we've had more broker caravans and we've had broker open houses, which has been wonderful, so that we've been able to be face to face with other realtors in our marketplace and talking about how's the market. Because some people get silent, right? And they think this is only happening to me. My listings has a high days on market, and I can't let anybody know that. But in reality, once we just say it like it is, call a spade, we realize we're not in this for by ourselves, that other agents are experiencing the same exact things. And then it also helps grow that network, right? Where I might learn something about someone else. Like today, I learned that one of my friends, another realtor, her cat had to have major surgery today. And so she's really kind of struggling because she's got to deal with this large vet bill that's going to be coming. She's kind of freaking out about that, rightfully so. She's a cat mom, I'm a dog mom. So I feel her. So I'm going to send her a card, right? Like I learned that about her today. I'm going to offer her some support. So it's not that we were having a mental health conversation. We were just connecting. We were just talking and being there and being real for each other without wearing that mask. So if I'm going around and I'm wearing my mask and letting everybody think that my listings are great and they're being shown all the time and I'm getting multiple offers, well, that's being fake. That's not the truth. And that's not going to help me build a bridge to have community. And that's what we all need in this world in order to do well, is we need each other.
Absolutely. You've all talked about creating connection and empathy, and that's what brings people to be able to open up, be vulnerable, and share. With that said, people know when you're fake. People sense when you're fake. And if you're not genuine, then this work would never come to pass the way it is. And it is genuine work from both Steve and Adam. And with that, we talked about just this a little bit earlier in terms of like tech. So some people open up in the group, right? Some people retreat. And maybe there are people that retreat and they don't come to group. Or they don't seek support. And we're in this age of technology, right? So tech can be really great and it can detract from some things. So anyone that think that there are some positive things to this boom in technology and wellness. And I know that Jenifer mentioned the doom scrolling before bed and how that could kind of detract from some of your healing, even some of your solace. So is there anything, Steve, that you would like to contribute in terms of whether technology can detract or assist in just your solitude, your stability in
For
terms
me?
of anyone's walk?
Well, it's a two-sided sword, you know. There's some stuff that's negative for you. I mean, just turning off uh, the local news or the national news. Sometimes you just have to turn it off for your
Mm,
mental wellness. And in the technology realm, it's on our phone, it's in the airports, it's everywhere we go. So sometimes turning that noise off is so much better for your mental health, your spirituality, all of it. But I also think that there's technology, I have apps that, Halo, where I can, pray with the rest of the country. I mean, when I'm speaking, I tell people um, who don't understand what Raw is all about or what issues are all about, I tell them, go on Google and look up codependency, and you'll see the textbook definition of every realtor you know. And a
mm.
lot of people don't even know what it is. I said, hey, come to a Raw meeting. I'll give you some resource books that'll tell you all about it, right? And I can give them to you online. I can send you an app right now. Those kind of things are cool. When I'm at the CAR meeting, our state meeting, and we're having a Friends of Bill W., I never bring a preamble with me. I'm not printing it out. I go on my phone, pull up the app that has the preamble, and we can start the meeting. And I now have, the raw preamble on my phone. But there are some upsides to the technology, and I know Adam can speak to what he did with his meetings with the new technology that I'm now experimenting with up in at my chapter.
That's a great segue. Adam.
Perfect, Steve. Thank you. Well, I think what Steve's referring to is our association, which has two locations. We've traditionally alternated between our north and south locations for our raw meetings, but because one of our buildings is under full renovation, um, we've pivoted back to Zoom. And this was obviously something that we all did during the pandemic. And we have just found that the Zoom meeting for a lot of our agents is just much more convenient. So I don't think it ever will replace what happens in a room. And we are going to try to get back to our meetings. The problem really was just trying to get South County agents to drive up to the North County office on a consistent basis for a meeting that lasts an hour and 15 minutes. And so we've been using Zoom, and it works great. I mean, Zoom is very, very effective for our raw meetings. As far as the rest of the conversation of technology, I personally, I haven't posted on Facebook and social media in probably 6 months. I do go on there several times a day, so I will admit that I'm on there probably more than I need to be. It's more to give support to others. I'll hit like to as many. I may run down that list, and as long as it's not again, I try to avoid political conversation on there, but if somebody has something that they're showing, I don't care if it's a plate of food or if it's a baby picture or an anniversary. I'm gonna give it some love because I just want to spread love out there. But I do feel that this is probably going to be one of the biggest recovery industry booms in the world. Is going to be somebody that can capitalize and monopolize the recovery of social media addiction. I think that this is just something that we can talk about. It's something that we all know probably exists, but I don't know that you're going to be against some big forces out there who, probably wouldn't want you to just completely stop paying attention to their sites. The other thing for me personally is I have a wife who's a realtor. She's been a realtor for 36 years. She's very, very good at this. And she also has extremely, extremely strong boundaries. She understands personal time. She understands the importance of self-care, self-love, to a degree that I could never even explain. And so, we lately have, over the last 4 years, we've been plant-based. I don't use the term vegan because I still wear leather shoes and a leather belt. And I don't want to be chastised by the true vegans out there, but I've been plant-based, which has really done a lot to ameliorate a lot of the issues, if you will, around eating disorder for me, which I had mentioned earlier. We are really starting to watch different things on TV, things that are for wellness. And in the beginning, when I first met her, she was such a big fan on some of the great female authors. She's done all the Tony Robbins stuff. She does all the fairy projects and everything to do with anything that can make your life better. And I just can't hang with that stuff for some reason. But I am now trying to embrace, black, I think they call it black screen, where you're listening to music for like sound, kilohertz, specific kind of kilohertz music, and to take your body into more of a meditative state as you go to sleep, and not eating before I go to bed, at least an hour or two before I fall asleep. A lot of different things right now that the technology is teaching us, because we can find this information, whether it be on YouTube or Google or whatever. So I'm using technology now to try to become a healthier person. And I think this is where the benefits of technology can come in.
Was that an app that you were explaining about the tones that you could listen to? Is that an app?
No. If you just YouTube sleep, black screen music, or black screen, gosh, she's the one that always does it every night. It's sleep. It's like music to go to sleep to. Mm-hmm. So that your TV, I've got that big sound bar and all the beautiful sound systems. And so it just permeates my house and my room. And so it's just very beautiful sound waves that you can listen to as you go to sleep. And then I even learned how to turn so that my TV has a timer. So after 1 hour, my TV will go off automatically, because I would go crazy if my TV were burning energy while I'm sleeping.
You're so high tech. So
right.
You've learned how to work the remote too.
Yeah, that's right.
TV to go out.
I found the remote first, Steve.
We're getting savvy in every sense of the word, huh?
Yes.
Jenifer, you did mention that the scrolling. Is there anything that you wanted to add, whether it is something that detracts or enhances this walk for you or anyone that you know?
Yeah, I mean, as far as technology goes, I have been a loyal Beachbody customer for probably about 8-9 years now, and Beachbody has an on-demand app, and so I can take my fitness on the go with me wherever I am. So if you are someone who's still using CDs or old-fashioned technologies, right? Like the technology today with fitness has come a long way, and so I can stream my Beachbody programs, whichever one I'm doing, whether it's a yoga or more of a stretching type routine or something hardcore lifting. I love lifting weights. I think that there's a lot of strength that you physically build, which then you also mentally build when you are lifting weights, especially as a middle-aged woman. That's very empowering and important for our health. So I love that my phone and or my iPad always have those tools at my disposal wherever I'm traveling. And I also use a white noise app to go to sleep at night. I sleep like a baby. I really do. I have very good routines around my sleep. But usually it's some sort of water sound, like either a rain shower or ocean waves. But honestly, this summer, I found the crickets sound in this same app. And so I love the sound of all like the the crickets and the cicadas and all that, like in the summertime when my windows are open. And it's a little chilly now here in Vermont, so I can't have the windows open anymore. But the cricket sound is still just very soothing. It's nature amplified. So whether you like the sounds of birds or crickets or ocean waves or a fire crackling or whatever it is that sounds soothing to you that you can go to sleep to every night, that's a really great way that no matter what noise is going on inside your head, you can just sort of meditate and drift off to sleep to that white noise.
I love the simplicity. Sometimes it doesn't have to be anything major, right? Sometimes it can be very simple and scaled down to create a sense of a semblance of peace. So we're going to start closing out. I love this conversation, and I'm going to ask the three of you. I'm going to ask Adam to start, and I'm going to ask if you have one takeaway that you'd like for the listeners to remember about this discussion, or a tip that you'd want for them to have as they're listening.
Sure. Well, first of all, again, Tikola, thank you so much for this podcast and bringing this information to your members. We're blessed to be a part of this.
Thank you.
You know, we've had some great speakers on today, and they each bring a special perspective to the bigger picture, which is really wellness. And I guess one of my takeaways is, you know, the concept of it being a mental wellness. I understand that that's a kind of an uphill lift. I mean, this is a physical wellness journey that we're on as well, right? Because one can't be good without the other.
So true.
But from my perspective and being able to just champion the Realtor and Affiliate Wellness Group concept, you know, it's just, I love this fact that it's absolutely free. It takes minimal effort. It's not staff driven. It's Realtor and Affiliate driven. And I know I said it's free. I'll repeat it. It doesn't cost anything to be able to help your other members, your other friends and colleagues in this business to have a better day and possibly help prevent something from happening that, you know, they may not have had another outlet to go to. You know, we're here to be there for the people. We're here to provide information and resource information for the people that come to a meeting so that they may be able to find the help that they need outside. And again, I'm just grateful for the opportunity to share a little bit about the Realtor and Affiliate Wellness. At the end, I'm happy to share my email address. If there's listeners that have further questions, I certainly can make sure that Steve and Jenifer are receiving any of these questions as well. We're here to help spread the message of hope to everybody out there that, you know, we can be better, happier, joyous, and free. But we have to be willing to share our vulnerabilities and let folks know when we need help. And we need to be there to help others too. That's one way of giving this gift away.
For sure. When we wrap up, I'll have each of you share your information if you feel comfortable doing so.
Sure.
Okay. And I'm going to ask you, Steve, for a takeaway or a piece of advice that you'd like for the listeners to know from this session that we had today.
Yes, thank you. I'd also like to thank everybody on this call as well, Adrian, who had to step out. But obviously, our hearts are right because we're trying to do a good thing for our members. It's a program that's bigger than all of us. Raw, I don't know if you, for your listeners or viewers, if you realize it's free. It's free, and that's my favorite price. You know, as realtors, everybody's got their hands out and trying to sell us stuff. We're not trying to sell you anything. It's free, and we just want you to feel good, to feel okay. You know, that's one of my takeaways. You know, and what we're trying to do with Raw. If you are interested. If you're a viewer out there watching this and you're, wow, Raw sounds great. We need that. I want that. We need that kind of change in my association. Then you be the change. Go to your local association, see if they have a Raw group. If they don't, start one. And you we'll leave our information for you, and you can get a hold of us, and we'll help you do it. It's been kind of a thing of of ours to try and be at the first meeting for our new raw groups. And now it's becoming impossible because they're spread out all over the country. And before you know it, we'll have raw groups in Spain, So I don't know, Adam, maybe we'll
Yay.
have to make a run over to Spain. But
That would be a good one.
yeah, so that's my takeaway. It's free. And if you want it in your association, you can make it happen and we'll help you.
Wonderful. That's awesome. And Jenifer, last but certainly not least, what's a takeaway for you, for our listeners?
I have like literally a dozen written down as takeaways. So I'm going to try to think what's the most important thing. I think for me, what I hear people saying a lot is that they just don't have time. They don't have time for self-care. None of us have time. We make time. This is something that we have chosen very intentionally to be a priority. If I'm not at the top of my to-do list, taking care of my mental health and my physical well-being, I can't show up for anybody else or anything else in my life. So yes, I've got to put that mask on myself, right? If that airplane is going to crash, I can't help save you if I'm dying. So I make my non-negotiables go into my calendar first thing, so whatever routines I'm setting up for myself to set myself up for success, those things go on the calendar first. And then I work my business around that. My family works around that as well. So having those very clear priorities and then setting those very clear boundaries, whatever that looks like for you, I am happy to be a resource for anyone. I am self-proclaimed OCD, proud member, color coding my calendar. So I very clearly can see if I have a whole week of blue events, then it's all business. Then I'm not taking care of myself and I'm not spending time with my family. I'm not spending time with my husband. So all of those appointments get color coded so that I can see very visually, am I in balance this week? And is it always perfect? Absolutely not. But that's where I get to recognize where I'm getting out of whack and I can pull myself back and put myself back on track. So my last thing I want to share is that we are as sick as our secrets. So if you are struggling with anything and you feel like you absolutely cannot reach out and tell someone what's going on with you, I beg you, please let someone know what you are struggling with. And I guarantee you that you will find someone who can understand, who can identify, and can help get you to the resources that you need. And if you're not getting what you need, keep telling people. When in the 12-step world, when we get a list of phone numbers, we say, don't just call the first person and give up. Keep calling lots of different people, right? Until you find the help that you need. And then it's all about identification and not comparing. This business can look really flashy and good on the outside. So don't assume that your colleagues have all their stuff together and that they are A-okay. Do not judge your insides and compare them to other people's outsides. We are all just trudging this road, hopefully towards happy destiny together. And when we allow one another in to understand the struggle, that's really when beautiful things happen.
Thank you so much. Since you're speaking, would you like to share your information, Jenifer?
Sure. You can reach me, phone number 802-558-5911. My name, Jenifer, only has one N, so my email address is Jenifer at Hoffman, Hoffman, VT, short for Vermont, realestate.com.
Thank you. And Adam, would you like to share yours?
Sure. My phone number is area code 714-747-2117. Don't beat me up too badly for my email, but my email is my first and last name together. This is very old school. It's Adam Rodell, ADAMRODELL at AOL.com. And in the subject line, just put the raw group in there and you'll make it through my spam filter.
Beautiful. And Steve, would you mind?
Sorry, I had to move. My dog was barking. Mom's home.
No
My
problem.
phone number is 510-599-1682. Just text me and I will get you all the information you need. I'll send you back my email, any information you need.
Wow. My heart is full. My cup is full. I am more grateful for each of you than you know. This was such a robust discussion that I know we planned it, but it couldn't have gone any better. I am confident that this has reached someone. I'm confident that it has helped someone that may be struggling in some way. And, the discussions that we have about mental health, wellness, and recovery in real estate are so important and have gone under the radar. So I'm glad that we were able to be courageous enough to be able to bring these conversations to the forefront, and that Batman and Robin were the peanut butter and jelly that brought the Raw Group to our association and to our affiliates and to our staff members. And so we know it's a vital part of our professional lives, and together we can continue to support each other. We will continue to support each other. And I appreciate you all for taking the time to share your experiences, which are super personal, and we don't take that for granted. And all your insights are super valuable. So let's keep this conversation going, because our mental health truly matters. This is Tikola McCree, NC Realtors. You know how to find me, you all. And I want to say that we do have a member benefit called Call a Doctor Plus. So NC Realtors, that is a direct member benefit. If you didn't know that, you do now. Utilize it. It's there for you. We are here for you. Thank you all once again. Have a fantastic day.
Thanks for listening to NC Realtors Redefined. Be sure to never miss an episode by subscribing on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or SoundCloud.